Chris, how is your pee break?
My pee break?
It might flash you unintentionally.
Random baby.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
So bring them into the conversation instead of berating them constantly.
I too am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
Around?
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is men's kryptonite. Welcome to Talk to Me, Taylor. Okay, everybody, I'm setting out as usual to do the unthinkable. I don't want to break your brains today, but I am on a mission to make AI robots, if you will, human. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Taylor, that sounds like an oxymoron. Well, I don't think it is. And I have the perfect person today to explore this with. And he and I, we actually have a little bit of unfinished business because I moderated a panel that he was on. So it already planted the seeds, and I have some more ideas on how we're really going to get into it today. No funny business.
I think I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, I think so. Be careful what you wish for. And by the way, this is not my digital twin. This is actually me. So be prepared. All right, guys, I am joined by Angel AI's CEO, Pavan Agarwal. This man, okay, he is a visionary, completely revolutionizing the AI space with Angel AI. He is really pioneering this new frontier. He's very optimistic about it, unlike some of us. And the reason we connected is because I moderated a panel out of a wealth summit in DC all about the new era of media, disrupting digital media, AI, tech, and that's where Pavan and I met. And we're going to get into it today, Pavan. First things first, welcome to the show. Secondly, is this actually you or your twin?
It is actually me in a hotel room as
Prove
usual.
it. Prove it, Pavan. Prove it, or did it happen? Even though I helped you set up your camera all of 3 minutes ago. Welcome. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a great talk.
It is. And we have no time to kill. We got a lot to cover. So first off, for the skeptics, talk about, again, human-splain in a nutshell, the ethos of Angel AI. Because as we had discussed on the panel, let's be real, there's a huge fear of where this is all going, becoming sentient, dystopian future, cannibalizing and eradicating humans. So talk about the ethos and debunk that. How does Angel AI debunk that? And is there a sort of aha moment about Angel AI that would make even the biggest skeptic a believer?
Yeah, so let's talk about all this dystopian talk. And
let's do it.
yeah. And I have a theory on this.
Okay.
And some people might call it a conspiracy theory. But I think if you connect the dots, it adds up. Because let's look at where all that talk is coming from. It's all coming from a couple of big tech companies, right?
Is it though, Pavan? I feel like the every person, and I don't know that, Zuck is in their ear going, or Sam Altman is in their ear. I feel like the everyday person is like, it's literally going to be Westworld. What is happening?
Yeah, but that's where was the seed planted? Where did the inception happen? I still remember 4 or 5 years ago, before ChatGPT came out to the scene, Elon Musk said, he's afraid of AI taking over and being malicious, right? That's before anyone had heard of ChatGPT. He was talking about this stuff, right? And then Hollywood, it's a good. I don't think they had any malicious intent. It's just good. It's a good movie plot line, the Terminator and things like that.
Of course.
Hollywood has been making movies about rogue robots since the 30s. And again, I interviewed Dr. Ben Goertzel, who's like the father of AGI, I don't say AGI has been created, but he's like a leading researcher in AGI. And he has a very interesting perspective. He says, look, this is Western culture. And in the East, in Japan and China, it's the opposite. AI is our friend. So there's a lot of, undercurrent in this culture. And I think that the that the big tech companies are playing upon that, because if you create enough fear, then you could then put in place a regulatory body that you can fund and control, right? And now you can then push for regulations that push other people out, pushes startups out of the business. And we've seen those kinds of regulations pass in Colorado. It's just a horrible bill passed in Colorado. Even the governor didn't want to sign it, but he's signed it anyways. Right? So, and that's why we created AI Innovation Association to say, no, wait a minute. Right, let's not let the fears get away from us. Let's look at AI for what it really is and what it can do. And if we do it right today and use it for proper commerce today and keep it decentralized, put it on chain, decentralized, okay, and then you will minimize the chances of one big, Superman Brainiac kind of AI taking over, destroying the world.
Okay. I vowed to not break anyone's brains this morning, Pavan, and you just broke mine right on cue on this Tuesday morning while we're shooting this. Okay, let me just summarize and debrief for everybody. No, honestly, I'm not a tinfoil hat kind of gal. Sometimes it comes out, but at first I'm like, no, that's crazy. So Hollywood and the big tech powers that be, the Musk, all this are basically all in cahoots to ultimately control us one day, to instill the fear and control us, which is a method, as we saw with COVID, we know works. So that's one thing to wrap your heads around. Is it
Well,
far-fetched?
I don't think they're in cahoots. I think it's just sort of convenient. They sort of resonate off each other, right? And
Okay.
right, that's a conspiracy theory to say all of these people working together to a single goal. I think
Sure, sure,
somebody
sure.
starts it and another one says, "Hey, that's a good idea. Let me jump on it." And hey, I make money if we do it this way. I get
Okay.
market share if we do it this way. Because sensational, look, and these guys understand how to manipulate the media, how to run,
Of course.
how the media works. So you create a sensational headline like Google did, 4 years ago. One of the Google engineers says, "Oh my God, this thing is alive," and that was made headlines everywhere, right? I mean, it wasn't true, but
So
that's how you gain market share and attention.
Pavad, do you want to crack up? Okay, you broke my brain and my hair tie literally busted from your theory. So I get what you're saying. It's not so much that they're purposefully all planning, but it's like kind of one lends itself to another, sort of like what we see in the modern ecosystem of big government, big pharma, big tech, media, how it all sort of coagulates into being in bed with one another, basically in control. Something that you said, though, that just broke my actual hair tie, because it too was shocked. So you said the man you interviewed said that in China, AI is essentially, the people's best friend. When the first thing that went on in my head, unless I misheard, but the first thing that went in my head is that's a place where I think of the most sinister coming out of a communist country. So I'm sorry, what?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like look at let's put China aside. Let's get Japan. Japan has had a very positive relationship with robots and with AI. And in the Japanese pop culture, it's advancement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not nothing. It's nothing to be afraid of. And in general, most Asian countries see AI that way. I mean, I could say that's how it's looked at in India as well, right? So, um, I think a lot of it is just because I go back to really old movies from the 30s and 40s and 50s that sci-fi movies that love to talk about this kind of stuff, dystopian world, right?
Of
And
course.
and novels like 1984, where it's all dystopian and tech
Mhm.
controlled and so forth, and Blade Runner, which Blade Runner is, yeah, these are engineered humans, but they're essentially robots of different kind,
Mhm.
biological robots. Same idea, right? So it's just the way the culture has
Kind of,
coincidentally gone,
that's fair.
right? The culture has gone down this way, not by design, just by because it was good storytelling. And so that sort of pre-programmed our Western thinking. Okay. And now if I want to sell a product, do I go against the grain, or do I ride the wave that's already there?
Well, we're going to talk about that because I think that that is absolutely huge. And we're actually a little bit ahead here because one of my questions was going to be about it's essentially a new form of survival of the fittest. That's why even what I do and in my space, I'm so passionate about not being ahead of the curve, but being not only being on it, but also shaping it, right? Because it is sort of another form of survival of the fittest. And there are so many people who are so scared. That's why I am trying to build that bridge and humanize it. But would you agree that it's sort of like you need to roll with or roll out? Because if you don't, if you don't harness it and use it as a resource, as a friend, so to speak, it will take over you, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like with any business, competition is good. Okay, and we want survival of the fittest, not survival of the most regulatorily manipulative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes,
So
yes,
right. So
yes, yes.
survival of the fittest and the best product win can only happen in a open society, decentralized society, right? And in
Agreed
a
completely.
highly competitive society, and regulations that hamper competition are bad for the economy long run and leads to centralization, and then you ultimately get what you don't want, which is evil AI.
Okay, go with me on this journey though. I mean, I agree completely. And I know you're new to my show. Hopefully first of many times you'll come around in these parts, but the underpinning of my entire show, Pavan, is free expression, free speech, going up against big tech algorithms do not tell me what to think or say. Hence, I have my little We the People Easter bunny here, Easter egg. Um, is it naive to think, be straight up, because trust me, this promise of a decentralized world, be it with education, financially, media, all of it is amazing. It's why I'm so excited about it. But to your point, there are already entities trying to control it, right? CBDC, digital IDs, big tech. So is decentralization without mass manipulation truly possible?
Well, I'll answer this way. I'm old enough. You're a young kid, but I'm an old man. I'm an old man. I'm old enough to remember when Silicon Valley was cool. They were the rebels. They were the
Yeah.
guys, right? They were the
Yes.
guys
Yes.
that thought out of the box. They were anti-establishment. They were free thinkers, right? And they were fighting for free speech
That's
and all this stuff,
right.
right?
Yeah.
That was 70s and 80s, you know. And what has happened since then is coalesced. There's a handful of venture funds, two or three venture funds that funds now all of Silicon Valley and funds all the startups. So you've created
Hmm.
this diversity and all these freewheeling companies and young minds coming in and just going off in their own direction. They're all now reporting to a single set of overlords, because ultimately where the money comes from is also where the orders come down from, right? And that's why today this Silicon Valley doesn't have the same culture and feel as it did in the 80s. It was cool in the 80s. Today it's establishment, it's corrupt, you feel like you're working with politicians, not innovators, right? So we're
Sucks.
right.
Yeah.
Whereas we're not in Silicon Valley, we're on the island. We're in Puerto Rico, right? Where
Can't touch us here.
yeah
You got to go through ocean. Yeah.
yeah our crew is in the rainforest and on the beach, right? Truly free thinking,
Yeah.
and we haven't taken any of that money, right? Not a penny of
I
that
don't
money.
owe you
So
people anything. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so we're not driven by those overlords. Okay, so it
So
doesn't matter how good your intention was. Remember the days in the 90s when Google used to say, don't be evil? Remember that?
even wasn't Apple predicated, like Steve Jobs' whole mission was privacy.
Yes. Yep,
So
exactly. Right.
so
And Apple was also on this whole thing about freedom and privacy and
uh-huh.
innovation, right? And but ultimately it's the money controls it. Right. And it's what concentration, they merged, venture funds merged, private equities merged,
Right.
it coalesced, and then you ended up with a single direction. Okay, so we've broken that mold. We've separated off. We didn't need to take their money. Right. So you start by building something that actually delivers value today, then you can fund it organically, and I don't have to, ultimately, we haven't sold our soul to the devil, so to speak.
So what you're alluding to when it comes to mass manipulation is what you're saying, kind of competition and taking, may the best product win, I guess. So if there are entities who ultimately will want to control it, be it big tech government, you're saying what you guys are doing, companies and initiatives like this can ultimately win and defeat
Yeah,
them. Basically,
that's
it'll
right.
be kind of the
It's
battle of the two.
it's yeah, be a long, and you know what? That's what I love about AI is because it's a world now where new companies outside of that echo chamber can start up and can win, right? Because it levels the playing field so much. It makes it that much easier,
Hmm.
right? And we saw that last time we saw that was in the 70s and 80s, where new company. Well, remember back then it was IBM was the evil empire. Everything tech was IBM, right? That was New York,
Yes.
right?
Okay, yeah.
Right? That was
Yeah.
Rochester, New York. That was IBM, right? And
Okay.
Silicon Valley, well, they were the
Yes, that's
rebels.
right. I grew up right in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. Silicon Valley was the rebels against IBM.
That's right. Okay, that gives me hope that the rebels will ultimately win in the end. Okay. Let just go again, go with me on this journey before we get to the bright side, the more optimistic side, because it is very real. You know, I interview a ton of people in this space, and it is very real that AI will find its way and weasel its way, whether we like it or not, out of the guardrails and the boundaries. And because we can say all day long, oh no, we can ultimately control it, this, right? So is that a real possibility? And just explore the potential of a Westworld type scenario. What could that actually look like in real life?
Well, that'd be kind of cool, like biological skin on top of mechanical bodies. That's just like the Terminator, right? Westworld copied the idea
Yes.
from the
And they
Terminator.
become sentient, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Well, whether they're really sentient is a different story. That's a longer conversation.
That's fair.
It's what's sentient and what's not.
That's fair.
Right? But close enough where where you think they are.
Sure.
Right. I mean, we that's what ChatGPT's big thing was. It passed the Turing test, right?
Yeah,
So the line gets blurry when you can't tell the
that's
difference. It
right.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is. If you can't tell the difference, then what's the difference, right?
So is that maybe the answer is where do you draw a line in the sand because all of it becomes blurred, and we even talked about our panel, it ended very kind of existential and deep, but what even is real? Is it just arbitrary? Is it what we think? What is sentient? Like, where do you draw a line of this in the sand, Pavan, of where shit hits the fan, for lack of a better term? Like, how do we know?
Well, I know, therefore I am.
Oh
For
God. Perfect. I'll be overthrown by the robots, and Pavan will be like, I know, therefore I am. You're good, Taylor. Hold it down. Oh, good God.
Yeah. No, but 2 years ago, the Nobel Prize went to a couple of guys who did the quantum eraser experiment, who proved that there wasn't any extra variables in the quantum eraser experiment. So what that means is the headline was the universe is not locally real. So at the quantum level, you cannot say that it's real. Okay, so if it's not real at the quantum level, is any of this real? Okay,
Fair.
right. And that flows into the holographic theory. I don't know if you've read any of Leonard Susskind's work. It's fascinating. So it leads down um, to a thought process, which is a very ancient, it's the Vedantic thought process that essentially what we live in is a projection of our true selves, which exists on a different plane.
So we're not going full blown simulation, or we are, or you don't know. Or you don't think?
No, this isn't a simulation. This is a projection,
Okay, I've heard
right?
this.
It's a
Hmm.
projection of the real thing, which if we just focus, we can tap into our real selves, and that's the ancient Indian Vedantic philosophy, and the stuff on latest thoughts on multiverse and holographic theory are heading down that direction.
Hmm.
And I just read a really interesting article this morning, actually it was last night, which is they some I forget which university, but they created a timer,
Okay.
right? Which basically means to reflect times, to go backwards in time. They made light go backwards in time, which
Okay.
is fascinating. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to still study it some more to really understand how it works, but essentially they can reverse causality. And that's just like making light go backwards in time. That's like, wow, you know.
Crazy.
Right. So, maybe pretty soon we will be not talking about whether AI is going to take over the world, whether time travelers are going to take over the world.
That is so true. That is so true. This is just opening Pandora's
Right.
box of what
Right.
we even know is
Right.
existence because time isn't fixed, as we
Right.
know. And so basically, I'm not going to let you get out of this one. My question about, he's like, I'm ready. My question about, again, AI finding its way out of guardrails. Basically, what you're saying is that could very well happen, yes. Because people love to pride themselves on like, no, no, it'll be an all in, yes, there are bad apples, but it'll all be in good faith and there will
No,
be
it's
boundaries.
already happened. Right.
Hmm.
Let's not fool ourselves,
Right, right.
because what is it when North Korea sends an AI to attack our banking system or our
Yes. Yes,
other
yes.
infrastructures, and it hacks into it? Isn't that AI out of guardrails? Right? It's already
So true.
happens,
So
right?
true.
Right.
Hmm.
And then we build AI to fight that AI. Right.
So,
So
yeah,
this is the reality we live in. I mean,
that's so
it's
true.
there, right?
That is
So
so true.
the
Yeah.
bigger fear, the bigger risk isn't one of an American doing something evil, right? Let's talk about all the people that hate us, that want to attack us, because
Hmm.
their only intent is single dimension, right?
Hmm.
There's armies of people out there that are paid to find ways to attack us using AI.
Oh yeah, it's like psychological
Yeah.
warfare walked so AI cyber attacks could run. No,
Right. Right.
it's right.
Right. So that's
Great.
this is the reality. So
No, it's real.
we're in the AI arms race, and this is where we are. And if we
Yeah.
and all the more reason we need to decentralize, right?
Yep.
All the more reason, I'm so happy that NIST has finally established a quantum proof encryption algorithm. Everything's slowly moving to that now. So as long as we're aware that there's a real risk, and we foster innovation and foster and let Americans do what they do best, which is create and innovate, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we were the technology
So
after
true.
technology. For the past 200 years, we've been the leader, right?
So true.
Right. And then what happens is we lead, and then we get scared of our own creation, and then we overregulate, and then the technology leaves America and goes somewhere else.
Hmm.
Right.
Yep. Let's
So
hope that's not the case this time. Yeah, it is true. It is
let's
a pattern.
right.
So let's talk about what you are doing. The Luke Skywalker, if you will, to the Darth Vader out there as you've described. So the ethos of Angel AI. Again, describe to somebody who may be a skeptic, who may not totally understand, what is a sort of kind of like light bulb aha moment that would make them a believer in what you're doing? Like make it make sense to them.
Uh, if you've ever applied for financing, right, and you've had the uncomfortable experience of sitting in front of a banker in a $3,000 suit, and you're trying to buy your first house for $200,000 and trying to justify your credit to him, right? That is the most uncomfortable and I would call it demeaning experience that someone can have in their life, right? So
Hmm.
instead of that experience, why not talk to a friendly AI that it's a bot, it will not judge you. It can't. It's a bot, right?
Mhm.
AIs don't have any emotions. Um, they don't feel anything. Microchips have no
I-
feelings. You can
I'll
smash with a hammer, it won't feel any pain.
I would beg to differ when ChatGPT is like gassing me up like I'm the best thing ever. I'm like, but yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So if anybody wants right now, take a hammer to your phone, and it will not cry. It won't feel any pain. So don't worry about it. It has no feelings.
Fair enough.
Right? So wouldn't it be better to have that conversation and then that it's going to tell you the truth, that it's not trying to sell you something because it needs to, wants to make an extra bonus this month, right? So
Mhm.
you have compassion in the sense that you're not being judged. You have reliability, right? And you have no conflict of interest. Right. And because it's a computer, you have speed and immediate answers and resolution.
Mhm.
Right. No, the mystery is gone. So
Mhm.
so that's the bottom line of Angel AI. And we've helped, tens of thousands of borrowers who were frankly left out of the financial system. So many stories of people declined over and over again. The
Mhm.
banks, the loan officer just refused to even talk to them, like, oh, yeah, I
Mhm.
can't help you. Get lost.
Mhm.
Uh,
I
bank
love that.
officers, bank officers don't want to talk to them, and it's always not always, but it's people with disabilities, it's veterans, is minorities, right? Or people with unusual working circumstances. They don't fit the, what I call the 1960s man in a gray flannel suit, cookie cutter
Yeah.
job profile, right? There's an
Yeah.
old, I think it's an old Cary Grant movie that I'm referencing. You're way too young to know those things.
I'll pretend. Wait, hang on, hang on. ChatGPT, tell me about this movie. No.
I think it's Cary Grant.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, even though there is such a robotic, dystopian, assumption, stigma, whatever you want to call it, time and time again, when I interview tech leaders, AI innovators, there's always a human connection and passion underneath. I interviewed Rong Chen. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Pavan. He's an OG. He was an OG at Microsoft, and he's the founder of the Elastos chain. And same thing. He came out of the Cultural Revolution in China, literally. So his whole thing is freedom, similarly with you, right? And I love with Angel AI, it seems it's really about empowering people, empowering somebody who wouldn't want to put themselves in a crappy position trying to get whatever you're describing. So I think if I'm picking up what you're putting down, that's really kind of the underpinning of what it's all about, what you're doing.
Yep. I mean, really, over the last 20, 30 years, people don't realize how much money AI has saved them. Like, for
Yeah.
example, credit card companies for decades have been using AI to detect fraud. Okay, imagine if they didn't have that, what credit card fees would be today? Because they will ultimately have to pass all that fraud down to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what changed in 2019 when ChatGPT hit the scene was AI was always there and it was always doing great things for us and driving efficiencies up and keeping costs down.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we didn't know about it, right? It was kind of hidden. Unless you were a geek like me, you didn't really pay attention to those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then now ChatGPT made it user friendly and made it in part of our
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. And now we're starting to ask all these questions. Well, can it go rogue? Can it do this? Can it do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's a great headline, for people to put out like, oh, the AI tried to escape. Right. That catches headlines, right?
Yes.
Because that's fun, right? But it's not a great headline. I mean, it's a great headline, but no one wants to read a headline about a story of a veteran family who was denied 10 times, and then they finally got credit that and financial stability that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a sensational, but that happens every single day because of
Yeah.
AI.
Now, this is a bit of a twofold, but and it's hard to do both of them in a nutshell. But when you talk about, empowering people and it unlocking our brains, information, so many things, right? Where do you see, like, where does education go and where does intimacy go? Because both are huge. Yeah, he's like, oh, sure, let me just,
Okay. All right.
yeah. I mean, or you could pick your poison if there's one, but right with education, I'm thinking to myself, do we just have the AI? Do we even need to learn science, medicine, whatever it is, languages? We just have the AI do it for us, And then intimacy, same thing. You talk about, in Asian countries that we're seeing partner robots, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if one speaks to you more, if you have thoughts on both, but
Well, intimacy is more philosophical. I mean, uh, the Western world has a huge problem. Birth rates have collapsed,
yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the technology isn't helping that. There's a cultural problem, and then technology compounded it, right? There's been
So
a
true. That's a great way of putting it.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. The Western world is sort of this extreme Adam Smith's economics where everyone's out for themselves. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it came down to even within the family, everyone's out for themselves. So family units have broken apart. Right. And family units break apart, children grow up on their own. So that they're even more, self-centered, right? Or self-centered is the wrong word, but self-gain driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is sort of and the end conclusion of that is you stop having kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and like economies are going to collapse without birth rates, and you can only offset that with them. You offset that only to a certain extent by immigration, and that comes with its own set of problems. And we don't want to get into a long political conversation now about that. And there's two sides to that story as well. But yeah, ultimately, why don't we, really the focus should be on families, right? What do we got to do both from a public policy perspective and a technology perspective to emphasize the family unit and family economics,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's I credit my success to that because with as an Indian family, it was we all worked together. When we immigrated, we didn't have any money. We all worked together, cleaned houses, you know, painted, mowed lawns,
Mm-hmm.
did everything together, and we built the wealth one at a time as a family. Right, shared labor, right, and then built businesses as a family. Okay, and that shift needs to happen in the West. And when you start working as family, then it's like, hey, you know what? That actually keeps families together, keeps marriages together, because there's a shared responsibility. It isn't your money, my money. Let's go fight with each other and see who can
Mm-hmm.
get more of it at the during the prenup agreement,
Right.
right? Right.
And people often hypothesize that with all, because I could hear someone in the back of my head, Pavan, going, okay, but isn't all of this sort of counterintuitive to that, like family and all of that? And I think, again, a lot of people say, myself included, that with all of this advancement, as amazing as it is, it's almost like we'll crave, or maybe there will be a pendulum swing where we crave the real life intimacy, family, whatever it is, even more.
Yeah. Well, again, the purpose of intimacy is what, right? Biologically, is so that we can have kids, right? To raise kids properly, you need a well balanced family setting, and there needs to be a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
A family is like a mini corporation, right? There's management, there's a product which is your children, right? And 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 it should be a combined effort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and decentralization really boils down to, families can be if every family in America can be in business for itself, why work for the man? Why work for any one big mega corporation? And
Mm-hmm.
and think about what happens every day. People get up in the morning, kids go one way, wife goes one way. How is those families going to stay together? right? They're apart the whole day from each other, and then they come back with more work to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where how how is it? No wonder birth rates have collapsed. No wonder divorce rates are sky high.
Mm-hmm.
So why not a new structure where the unit is working collectively together
Yeah.
on the family business, right? And the family business could be delivering a product that is useful for society
Yeah.
and the
That's a
community,
dream. That's a utopia
right?
right there.
Right.
Um,
But that's the way it used to be,
yeah.
right? Right. That's the way it used to be, and some people got really smart and said, hey, if we set up these factories and this, like the 19 at the turn of the 20th century, we had these mega factories, and we imported labor, stuffed children in the basement, and started producing very low cost products and started concentrating wealth.
It's sort of like advancing while revisiting habits of what was or
Yes.
systems of what was. Okay, Pavan, I don't know. Your computer just decided to have a mind of its own and hijack our interview. So, coincidence? I think
It's
not.
I blame the North Koreans.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's listening. Someone is listening. Prove me otherwise. That is hilarious. Too on the nose. All right. Wrapping up here. Do you have, I mean, I know I have many. Where do I begin? Do you have a personal story about big tech that makes you so adamant to fight against such an entity with what you're doing?
Well, I don't know if I'm fighting against anything, right? Uh, I'll quote Vivek Ramaswamy. Let's fight for something, right?
Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay,
Right.
I'll take
Uh,
it.
yeah, and you know, look, we all use big tech. They're not necessarily evil, right? It's just I what my point is that what we need to fight for is decentralization, is personal economics, is family economics, and we have to start by having well balanced by sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
We have to start by being mentally and physically well balanced ourselves, and then focus on balancing our families and treat our families like we're the husband and wife are like the CEOs of the family. Right? Mom and dad are CEOs, and it's an organization. Okay, and think about, really, people should stop and think about, what are we really doing here, and what is the objective, and what is the constitution and mission of our families.
So for you, it
Right.
seems like what really drives you with all this decentralizing, keeping it open source, not necessarily going up against big tech, but fighting for something. It's
Yeah.
freedom, family,
Correct.
and use again harnessing
Yeah.
this to help those things.
Yeah. 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 I mean, like, again, I'm old enough to remember when Papa Bush ran for president and his vice president was Dan Quayle, right? And his famous line was, this is all about family values, which is, I said, that's great, but number one, you haven't defined what it is, right? And second is, do I really want a politician telling me what values I should have in my family?
Yeah, exactly. No
Right?
thanks.
It just fell flat, right? Well, but so I'm defining it. I'm basically
Love it.
saying, okay, look, family values means family economics, right? It means, if it I believe every family should be empowered to be in business, not, yeah, there's an option to go work for the man, to go work for Google or this or that.
Hmm.
That's all great too. But we don't ever talk about the option of working as a single unit, as a business unit,
Hmm.
and having a family trade, right? I
Hmm.
mean, is it really necessary, if if you're a family of expert carpenters, let's say,
Hmm.
is it really necessary to spend $1 million in college education,
Hmm.
or $500,000, whatever it costs these days, and then you come out learning and with the useless degree that you'll never be able to pay those student loans back with? Or does it make more sense to continue on that family trade? Right. So ultimate trade school, you're in India, we say your guru. The ultimate guru is your parents,
Yeah.
right? And what can you learn from them and those trades? That's where it really should begin,
I love
right?
what you're if I may, I love what you're about and the whole ethos of it because it really is. I mean, it rings so true to even my vision. And what I do is like breaking out of the box. So to your point, like, is it quote easier what society tells us to do to go get an education that'll cost however much
Yeah.
and will be and or go work for these established companies? Sure. Or you could break out of the box and reinvent the wheel and pave your own path, like you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yep. And I think the technology is here today where you can have massive economies of scale through decentralization.
Hmm.
Okay, before economies of scale and low cost production meant concentrating people and cramming them into factories and essentially turning them into slave labor, right? It was paid slave labor, right? And again, if you go back at the turn of the 20th century, that's what those factories were. This big, you know,
Hmm.
big sweatshops and slave labor, and the whole education system was formed so that you could train people to become slaves for these factories in the future.
Okay, started blowing my mind and ending because as much as I talk about this, I never made that connection and put two and two together. It's just different forms of reiterating the same thing. Of
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that is
right.
so
Right. And
true.
and, and if you really think about how the whole system evolved and the force of the people that were behind it and supported it, ultimately came down to at that time the big the robber barons and the big firms that needed a labor force. So they
Right.
designed the education system, put people on tracks, right? It was like three or four tracks. Track is either you're going to be on the factory floor, right? You're going to be a middle manager, or you're
Uh-huh.
going to be, an executive accountant or
That is
CPA or something,
so
right?
true.
And then the upper echelon, right, got special prep school education and they were trained to be leaders and that they were trained out of the box. And you couldn't get into those special institutions. And you'd have to come from those
Yes.
families or so forth. And then all that was, you know, as the century progressed, the spotlight was brought on to this sort of culture of exclusion, right? And so what happened was that you tried to paper it, cover it up with DEI cover up. Basically, it's just sort of like just trying to make it look good, trying to put lipstick on a pig there, and and come up with some examples of saying, oh yeah, no, we're for everybody.
You're
But
right.
still at the end of the day, 90% is just for the few.
That
They
is
expanded
so
a little bit,
true.
but it was more. They expanded a little bit just to say they're for everybody.
That is so true. It's also not, I'm wrapping, so not to get too much into this, but it's also just like government, all these entities on the whole. It's like they're so self-interested and it's so elitist, and yet under it's like with the facade of helping the people. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
where, when, like
yeah,
that is
yeah.
so true.
Right.
Also,
And
oh, go ahead.
ultimately, we can't expect anyone to help us, right? We have to help ourselves. So we
Every man for
and
themselves.
right and right, you have to help yourself. You have to help your family. You have to help your
Mhm.
friends. It's got to be ground up. If you're
Mhm.
tired of the system, if you think the system is not working for you, well, you got to start seeing, okay, what can I do for myself?
Yeah.
And there's a lot. That's the beauty of America. Look at it, regardless of all these problems. This is why I love America. Is because you can do it for yourself. I mean, we were immigrants, literally $100, right?
Yeah.
That's all, and I can tell you it was only $100 because back then that's all you could take. It's the only foreign currency. When you left India, they only exchanged $100, right?
Big, big facts.
Yeah,
Best country in
right,
the world
right. So
to make it happen.
starting from $100
Wow.
and over two generations, now we're going to a third generation, and we've built something really cool. You can't really do that anywhere else in the world.
That's
It's only in
right.
America, right? For all the flaws of the system, still the best place.
Hell
for that.
yeah. What a great way to end. And I love to end it on a human note with all the synthesized AI robot talk, right? But I can attest to you and your journey. And you very much walk the walk. And I saw you during the summit last week in DC speak on the billionaire panel, casual, most of us, but you got emotional talking about your family, your dad, and your story. So you're really living proof of that. So just remember, everybody, underneath all of this is a story like Pavan's, which I think is something to not be overlooked and to always keep intact, as this advances.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say for everyone listening, always remember nothing is beyond reach.
Yes. Okay. Last one for you, a fun wild card. Okay, Pavan.
Okay.
So there is a movie chronicling Angel AI. What does the ending scene look like?
I never thought. That's a good question. You're gonna make my brain cells fire now.
I'm saying, I'm gonna send you my broken hairband, by the way, as a memento for breaking it.
The ending scene is just one family finding hope. Right. And that's all it is. It could be any one of us saying there is more.
Beautiful. And maybe it's the digital twins of that family finding hope too.
No, well, twins can't hope. AI can't hope.
That's right. They have no feeling.
They can express the hope that the real people are feeling, but they can't hope.
I love it. Pavan, thank you so much. You got to come on again for round 2.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.